let's talk some more about patriarchy. So I have covered a few feminist issues already here on my channel, but obviously in the collective unconscious there is this notion that patriarchy doesn't exist and that women and men are discriminated against in an equal manner. Therefore, feminism as a movement has no meaning, and it's women wanting to get more rights and more power to themselves, and that ultimately feminism is stupid. So that is a very common notion. Obviously, people who have spent more than 5 seconds pondering this issue, they know that feminism is a legitimate movement that needs to be happening, and it's very unfortunate that it needs to be happening. But you cannot deny patriarchy, you cannot deny the need for feminism, and if you're a communist and if you're not a feminist at the same time, then you are not a communist. Because Friedrich Engels talked a lot about feminist issues, and he's got this great book, which title I can't quite remember, but I'm going to put the title into the description box below. And it's a pretty lengthy book, and it is based on research in anthropology, and obviously the research is outdated, so it is necessary for us to update that research to look into the more modern data in anthropology concerning the roots of family, the roots of the modern treatment of women, etc. So I haven't finished reading this book myself, so I'm not going to be able to give you an overview, but even the first few chapters that I did read gave me a lot of perspective on feminist movement, patriarchy, and the modern status quo. Now, this book actually talks about how our modern view of family is not at all natural and is mostly conditioned by our mode of production, which is capitalism, and that looking at the past, we see various forms of family existed, including matriarchy, which again is, if you substitute patriarchy with matriarchy, it's probably not going to be much better, but it's very curious to see the origins of family according to Friedrich Engels. Again, research is outdated, and I'm really curious to learn more about the modern views of family and the modern anthropological finds that can give us more insight on the issue. But I digress. What I was going to address in this video is this notion that men and women are equally discriminated against, therefore the feminist movement is disqualified and female struggles are just human struggles. Interestingly, I do not necessarily fully disagree with this statement. Absolutely, both men and women are discriminated against. They are discriminated against as proletariat. Men, women, marginalized folks, we all fall into that larger group of proletariat. However, we cannot deny the fact that all of our various groups may have various needs, and there is the concept of double oppression, which, as far as I remember, Lenin was an author of the concept of double oppression. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Lenin talked a lot about the oppression of women, especially the domestic slavery concept. Again, I'm translating myself from Russian, so if I am not translating it appropriately, please let me know. But the fact that all of the possible groups within that larger group of proletariat will experience various forms of oppression and discrimination, this is a fact. This is not something that needs to be proven. If you have eyes and if you have a mind, you can look around and see all of the various ways that we are discriminated against as women or marginalized folks. So hopefully I don't need to tell you much about who the marginalized are. Usually we all know. So the concept of double oppression is necessary to understand if you're a feminist. So if you're a feminist, you know that women do have their own unique struggles that are conditioned by patriarchy. And patriarchy goes hand in hand with monotheistic religions and with capitalism. Now, Bakunin had much to say. Well, Bakunin also mentioned that if you are an anarchist, you may be familiar with his famous work where he included what he considered to be the main ways we are oppressed, and patriarchy was one of those criteria he included as well. What is my conclusion concerning feminist movement and double oppression? My conclusion is very simple. We have to consider the differences and the different struggles that people may undergo if they're women or marginalized folks. However, feminism, just as the name implies, concerns women mostly. And always remember the concept of double oppression, and do not look into Oppression Olympics if you want to preserve your sanity, but I do have a video on Oppression Olympics if you're interested. I may put it down below in the description box, but there is a lot of fear-mongering that may happen in certain circles where people will be misled by concepts such as Oppression Olympics. And do remember that feminism must be a part of any larger movement for the liberation of the people. And you can be a part of this movement too, and you do not have to be a woman to be a feminist. And please join forces with us, communists.